Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of all those confusing corporate filings so you don't have to. Today we are diving into some interesting activity from KKR FS Income Trust Select, and let's just say they have been busy selling shares and letting everyone know about their net asset value. Now, what is the big news here? It appears KKR FS Income Trust Select is actively growing, and this report is all about them announcing a pretty significant sale of shares. They sold over 2 million shares of their Class S shares for a whopping $52.762 million. This is part of their larger continuous private offering, and it seems like they are making good progress. The date of this particular event is October EST, Liantianing Ashawul. Think of this as a snapshot of what happened on that day. They are reporting on unregistered sales of equity securities, which basically means they sold these shares without having to go through the full registration process with the public markets. They are relying on exemptions, specifically Section C R-Fee of the Securities Act and Regulation D. This usually means the shares are being sold to specific types of investors, like those considered accredited, which means they have a certain level of income or net worth indicated by the fact that they did not file a registration statement. What is interesting is that while the number of shares issued on October EST was over 2 million, the final number will be determined on October T, Liantianing Ashawul. This means there is a little bit of wiggle room or finalization happening after the initial announcement. So what are these Class S shares that KKR FS Income Trust Select is selling? Well, they are a type of common share of beneficial interest in the company. The report doesn't go into deep detail about what makes Class S shares unique compared to other share classes, but it is important to note that this sale is specifically for these Class S shares. The total amount raised from this specific sale was $52.762 million. This is a substantial amount, and it indicates a high level of investor interest in KKR FS Income Trust Select's offerings. They have been selling these shares as part of a continuous private offering, and if you look at the overall picture, they have already issued a significant number of shares. They have sold nearly 33 million Class S shares for a total consideration of over $834 million. They are aiming to raise up to $5 billion through this private offering, and they intend to keep selling shares on a monthly basis. This shows a clear strategy of continuous capital raising. Now let's talk about the value of these shares. The net asset value per S-share for the class. S shares as of the 30th of September 2025 was $25.67. This is the per share value of the company's assets minus its liabilities. For context, as of the 1st of October 2025. The company's total net asset value was about $814.9 million. This means that if you look at the total value of the company, it is quite substantial. They are steadily growing their asset base through these continuous offerings. One interesting detail is that KKR FS Income Trust Select has checked the box indicating they are an emerging growth company. This is a designation for companies with less than a certain amount of revenue, and it allows them to take advantage of certain regulatory benefits like extended transition periods for new or revised financial accounting standards. It suggests they are not a giant established corporation yet, but are on a growth trajectory. On the surface, this filing from KKR FS Income Trust Select paints a picture of a company that is actively raising capital and growing its asset base. They are successfully executing a continuous private offering. Attracting a significant amount of investment, the net asset value per S-share is also a healthy indicator, showing the underlying value of the company's holdings. However, as with any investment, there are always things to consider. The reliance on exemptions for their share sales means these are not being offered to the general public in the same way as shares listed on major stock exchanges. Investors in these types of offerings need to be sophisticated and understand the risks involved. The fact that they are an emerging growth company also implies a certain stage of development and potentially higher risk compared to more established companies. While they are raising a lot of money, it is important to understand how this capital is being deployed and what the long-term strategy is beyond simply continuous capital raising. The focus on a private offering rather than a public listing also means less transparency for the average investor. In conclusion, KKR FS Income Trust Select appears to be in a period of growth. Successfully raising substantial funds through its private offering, the net asset value provides some comfort in terms of the underlying value of the company. However, potential investors should be mindful of the private nature of the offering and the associated risks. It will be interesting to watch how they continue to deploy this capital and whether they eventually move towards a more public offering. That is our breakdown of KKR FS Income Trust Select's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.